Hey everybody, it's Marty the JavaScript party here. My buddy Rhett, I forgot to get her a nut, so she's got no nut. But I'll probably give her one when I put her back in her cage after this video. It is 8:11 in the morning. I'm afraid to start Edge because never wants to shut down once it starts. When I push this thing on my toolbar. But before I went on my walk this morning, it said it was 68 degrees Fahrenheit and like 56% humidity on my phone. So that is good. That's really nice. Went running yesterday. That was really nice. Um, and yeah, here we are working on this stuff. Um, so basically, what I've been working on trying to do is sort of migrate all this stuff. This is all was all just oh this was all just kind of handled on the app, and I wanted to pull these into its own component, which is pretty cool. And I never really this is the first project I've ever worked on where I actually inside of the objects that I actually keep a reference to the component itself, which I never really thought about. So this is an actual component, and I keep a reference to it. So that means when I switch from one to another layout, and it's a whole nother component, means all the original components that I have references to will be destroyed. And so I need to manage that. Um, so so that's a thing. Let me see if I can do something to sort of get Rhett to chill out. You want this? Um, so anyway, so there is that. I wanted to simmer down. Um, so I wanted to. So I was kind of thinking through that, and it was like, well, maybe I should just use like DOM elements, like um, changing the layout of with CSS and stuff like that to handle what I want to handle, and then like hiding things and not hiding things within the app itself. And I was just like, no, let's get comfortable with this. Like this is the first time I ever really ever considered, even thought about these viz components as like objects that you could just manipulate and you can destroy it and you can create, and this is a classic situation where, like, let's say I just kept those references. This would be that would be a classic memory leak, because even though they're not being displayed anymore and they have no purpose, they're still kept in memory of uh, because there's a reference to it. So the garbage collector won't come and clear that piece of memory up. So anyways, so that I thought that was a good thing. I thought it's a really good thing to sort of go through that whole process. It may not be like the best way to do it. I don't know though. How will I know? It might be a really great way to do it. But anyways, Rhett is definitely on fire. On fire. Rhett, are you on fire? So now what we want to do is we would like to get rid of this. What I would like to do is get rid of this and pull this guy in. And the first thing I need to do is get this component and import it into my standalone app component. And see, the viz component will go away after this. And then let's see. That's so weird. App custom layout component. Wonder why it can't find it. So where do I get my other component? This component. It's kind of funny that I put it. Yeah, that definitely is not. It's not a library. Components. I'm only doing this for just a minute. All right, so import layout component. Ah, I found it there. And then what we want to do is, and I don't even know what will happen if we have two of them. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. Just to sort of have two of them and see what happens. And honestly, this always seems like it should be the easiest thing in the world to do. And, just lift and shift all the code and boom, and you're done. See what happens. So I was able to build it out. And now I got very confused. Inspect. So what kind of errors we get? Cannot read undefined of to array. Visualization items. So it's saying visualization items don't exist. So visualization items was a undefined. So that'll be a good thing to fix over here. So when it went to run this, effect here, it's saying that the visualization items, so these guys didn't exist yet. That's what it's saying, I believe. T-renders, the service render signal. And that does make sense because the outer one gets created, so the signal fires, but it didn't fire for this one. So this one probably didn't even exist, like probably didn't even have a DOM yet. So let's go ahead and try removing it. And I would say this sort of new thing that I'm trying out for this is I'm trying to only do commits when I have unit tests and end-to-end like working, so it's just like one contained commit that has everything in it. I'm starting to think that is a huge mistake. That is a huge mistake because like I would rather have things committed already and then be able to easily get back to a working state if I'm going down a bad path now. So I maybe after this iteration I'll change my sort of thing, my mentality to make little local commits and then undo my commits. There's got to be a way in Git to say, okay, see all these commits, undo them, and because I want to make one big commit, or maybe flatten them. Maybe once it's all working, flatten the specific commits into a single commit. Yeah, that's probably what I'll do. Let's see if this works. Okay, that's wild. I don't know what just happened. So that, I think, is a good thing. I think there's a styling issue. Let's see if inspect. So what I think is happening, and I'm not sure about this, but what I think is happening right now is that I am setting the left and the right properly, but it's no longer absolutely positioned, is my guess. And there's no way for me to be sure about this except to inspect it. And for some reason, it's not letting me inspect all the way to a single one. DNTUI. Don't want that one. Don't understand quite what's happening here. Must be this? No. Oh, okay. See it created an overlay that is invisible, and it's not in the root directory. It's outside of the root. directory. Now I believe there's a way that in Angular material to tell it to attach to the root, or to tell it to attach to anything you want. But anyways, this guy is the one we care about. And yeah, as you see, the left is right. The the left is correct, but the problem is that these guys are not absolutely positioned. Which really surprises me. Because I don't know how they were absolutely positioned before. And it might be because it was in their styling of here. Yeah, so this is why. So basically that Angular does a good job of, actually we need both of these, of like making it to where when you have a CSS that's defined in a component, then that CSS won't affect other components with the same classes, which is just a huge problem. And a lot of websites, you know, like you have to come up with these really intense naming schemes for CSS classes so you don't inadvertently break something else on the page, especially when you have like third parties putting ads on your page and stuff like that. Like, you know, we might all want to name all the vises. Oh, I mean, everything on it. You know, we might have similar names, and we could break each other. And Angular did a great job of that. But there's a thing called ngDeep where you end up losing that, where you end up having that affect everything. So another way to get around CSS not applying outside of your, you know, not being able to apply it is to use your styles. There's a styles, let's see, Control P. Styles.scss, and you can put style anything in here and it'll also pierce through all the components. It's not quite as simple as that because they do also do a pretty good job of like naming things so that and updating the styles with these names that are really outside of your control in order to prevent this leaking in some situations. So it is one of those things that really like can make a lot of developers very miserable because there's just a lot of moving parts. So now what I did was I moved it into the layout itself, which is nice because this is pretty much the layout I want for the other layout, you know, like the vertical layout. Now I would just need to, you know, put some stuff off to the side like a delete button and voila, we'd be done. But anyways, Control S. It's so wild that it's coming back with an item, and I'm guessing all those items were probably there. All 4 of them were there. And we're back, baby. So to me, this is like would be a really good place to commit. It probably is a really good place to commit. And, you know, my rule is that and since it is such a good place to commit, I guess that's also a good indication that it is a good place to write, good time to write unit tests and end-to-end tests and all that. Unfortunately, you know, we won't really have anything to show for it. You know, all we did was move everything into a commit, but I would, into its own component, but I would actually like to sort of spend a bit of time sort of pondering that whole concept. So what are we at, 8:26? So this would be a good time. So it looks like we do have one TypeScript error, and it's upset because I have pulled in that component and I don't use it anymore. So it's upset about this viz component here. So let's go ahead and this is not, that is an error that I think started showing up in Angular 19. I think that was the first time I ever saw that that error. Which could be an absolute nightmare for a lot of big places, because a lot of times people will just paste a bunch of stuff in, and you just, you know, put in everything, including the kitchen sink in there, and just hope everything works. And then we try to update to Angular 19, and you're like, oh crap, I have all these TypeScript errors here. And it's kind of bad because it doesn't break it; it just gives you a whole bunch of errors. Um, so, anyways, that error is gone. Um, let's see if we have anything weird in our console log. Yes, we do. So animation service 126. Line 126. Get to that. See, and this is nice, this animate visualization, because right now I'm sending in like an index, but that could easily just be an actual like left, right, fast, slow. You know, like I could add other, instead of the index, I could add other things. So that's going to be pretty easy to move forward when we start to flesh out the, when we start to flesh out the, what am I thinking? Animations. So this, I don't believe, will break our unit tests. I mean, our end-to-end tests. It's definitely going to break the unit tests. And it's going to make me need to add a lot more unit tests. So everything seems good. Oh, I did not like that. So setup DOM visualizations is getting called when there's nothing in there. So the big question is, like, do we want to handle that here? Add that protection in here. Oh, wait, I know why. Well, in app components. Okay, I don't think we need this at all anymore, and that might be what's causing the problem. Man, look how nice and clean and little app got. I feel like that's a huge improvement. Okay, so we still have this issue. Defined. So the question is do we want to handle it here, or do we want to handle it in the component? I think we want to handle it here because, and only because normally I would handle it in the component. But in this, I think I might have other components that do this similar thing, and I'd rather handle the code in one place. And it'll actually be interesting to see if it... So basically, we're getting this error before we even get anything. So the signal is firing, which makes sense, but then there's nothing in there. So let's go, actually, let's look in here. So the question is, do we want to like run these two things if there's no render, if there's no... See, this is supposed to be an array, a query list of components. See, I think we're going to have something very similar to this in our list layout, app list layout. And so I'm wondering, like, do I want to have that if no renderers, if query list is null or whatever, don't do any of this stuff? See, because I think I can do this. Like that and protect it there. Inspect. I'm assuming we won't have the console log error anymore. Yeah, see now the error is gone. And it still works. So that is one option. The other option would be to come into here and sort of protect it at the common place. So the different components can call here, but if they send you nothing, then you don't care. So you're only going to do this if you get something. And then we won't, then we don't end up duplicating this gate, I guess is what you'd call this protection code. I feel like this is the better place to do it. I might change my mind in the future, but at this point, and like I said, normally I would do it at the component, I think, historically, but I actually do have the intention of having a different component just render all this stuff too. So yeah. So and yeah, I'm trying to think. The thing is visualization items makes a lot more sense over in the app custom layout. So like for me in the future, when I'm trying to like sort of ponder what the heck is going on here, it'll be harder to ponder because I'll have to go like, okay, let me look up setup visualizations. Where does this get called? And then, okay, that's where it gets called, and there'll probably be like 3 of them or 4 of them. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So this is the query list is empty. That nothing has been generated here. So, but if it was here, I could just look straight up and see it. So I think, I don't know. I think it's going to be a weird, very weird situation where I'm like, wait, why isn't this running when I don't have any visualizations? So I think I would rather add that protection there. I was trying to think if there's a way to make this, like I think you could make these, like pull this out into a single function, but I don't think it's worth it. So anyways, so that's that. All right, so I guess the next step is, I guess, to pop through, go to our, wait, what do I have going on here? I didn't save that. Oh, I hate it when I do that. So it's actually running the old code, so that didn't prove anything. Okay, so let's go to packages. Let's go into this view of it and close everything else. Because we're in packages, so I always close everything. All right, I think that's a good commit. I think that's an excellent commit. I think that makes sense. I like that. I like seeing all this code, this animation code gone. This is our new layout component. This is all that animation service stuff that came back in. I think it all makes a lot of sense over here to have these animation things. I would like this to be the left one tab. Let's see, ST render. Add a new render stuff UI service. This is the place where I think it breaks. No? So it looks like I don't use this ST renderer. Oh yeah, I must. Oh, ST renderer is right there. Okay, so I added this, created this signal. I don't think I need this ID signal, but I'm not going to delete it just in case I need it in the future. And query list, and this is our visualization service. Oh, it had to learn about what a query list is, and I guess it gets the visualization items. And that was just basically lift and shift from the component, the main app component. So that is good. 838. Okay. So what we did, npm run test. This should run all our unit tests. It's kind of a bummer because, like, I was hoping to get sort of on a routine of building a cool Cypress test every weekend, but it doesn't look like this will be a good weekend for it, because we did make some good changes, but none of them were actually something you could see. So I think there'll be a point in time where, like, I could literally get nothing done. I could still create a good unit test because, a good end-to-end test because, it would be like, oh, and here's a smiley face. Oh, here's a blah, blah, blah face. So that went real bad. Create viz. Property create component does not exist on type. So this is basically where we moved code. And I never know. Like, it seems like it would be really good. Mock viz. See, we aren't even doing anything with visualizations anymore. Oh wait, I'm in my app component. Let me close everything else. I just got really confused. Close others. See, we're in our app component. The app component no longer creates vizzes. So I think this entire spec test is no longer valid. And kind of temp test for validate for animations. We don't do any animating in here either. So boom. So that was the first one. It's rerunning. Running. So that's a good news. That's good. So that's step one. We got all of our tests running, and they all pass. We definitely have lost ground on every single aspect of it. I am pretty excited about this because, see, we have lines and statements, and they're different numbers. So we have 356 statements tested, but only 355 lines. So it would be nice if we could figure out which thing is a line but not a statement. I don't know if it's going to be possible, but we'll keep a close eye on that. So now the next step is, I think, to look at our test coverage and find like the best one to sort of focus on in order to attempt to get 100% test coverage. So we'll come over here. And we'll go to our index.html and we'll drag it over here. And it's the weirdest thing. I guess this is the kind of thing I want to test out all the time. But I believe if I drag this over here, yeah, it'll say about blank blocked. But then if you go like this, then it opens it in a new page, which is bizarro world to me. And looks like our animation service would be our first good place to focus. So we come in here to our animation service and we get to see what got tested and what didn't get tested. So it looks like, and I've never really come up with a good way. Like, should I start at this top one and write unit tests for this one, or should I start at the bottom one and write this unit test? And this one is like basically the temp test, which I guess we may actually have had a test for this already. So I guess what we want to do is look at this and go to our app component spec. Where's the temp test for? Yeah, it kind of seems like, yeah, maybe we can just copy this straight over. Let's see. So I got some choices here. I can copy all the deleted lines. I guess that's what I want to do. Copy deleted lines. And then I want to go into my animation services test spec. Animation services spec.ts. And then I guess we want to see if we can paste those lines here. I've never really done that before. It just, like I had imagined it in my head being a fairly simple process. And it kind of so far seems like it is, but let's see what Control V does. Okay. Okay, so we have to create a viz. Okay, I don't think we want to create a viz component. That's not what we're trying to do. So this one can go away. But it does look like we do want to create an actual component. I wonder in animations, in app spec, if we're still like creating, yeah, so basically we want to do something along these lines. Fixture. And then can I hit back? This is okay, so it's the blue line above there. Okay. See, I'm wondering. Okay, I'm trying to, yeah, see, that might have ended up being just a terrible waste of time. It's like I want to create a renderer, an ST renderer. See, neither of these, okay, yeah, so I don't need a component to do any of these things. So I think that ended up being just a terrible waste of time. Kind of trying to leverage previous work. But what I do need to do is come back over here into app component spec. Let's go ahead and get rid of viz component from here. And then I don't think, do we need app component? Oh, we do, yeah. Oh man, that got a lot smaller. What is after view? What is this thing doing now? Oh, we don't even have that either anymore. So it looks like after fakie, we don't even want this test anymore. I'm going to comment it out though, since we don't have it running. It's kind of like the best of both worlds. We're not running this really to be sure that this is okay. Would be to rerun from the top and everything, which would take time, but it's never going to be easier to sort of realize, oh, I don't need view component, so or after view init. So so hit save, and then oh, we're back to here again. And we want to test. It should animate a visualization. It's kind of wild. You kind of get into this mindset. Changing gears like that just takes a bit, like a minute to sort of, your brain just needs to reconfigure and work as a more like in unit test mode. Visualization. You know what? I'm just going to copy this. And it looks like I actually want a renderer. Okay, so that I guess what I normally do. We'll run that. And then we want a renderer. Do I already get a renderer? I probably get a renderer somewhere in here. Actually do a lot of testing in here. T renderer. There we go. Yeah, baby. So now we actually got a renderer ID. We have to get a renderer ID. That's sort of just like one of the rules of this application. And then we can use that renderer ID. So you could call the renderer ID a token to go get a actual renderer object. And now this renderer object just wants a number. So I'm just going to name it equals 1. And then we're going to say expect. This is our assertion, right? I believe. Creates an expectation. I believe an expectation and assertion is the same. Animate. What is it? Service. Service is the one we're working on. Animate visualization. Then st render, comma, index. And we just want it to be truthy. And it's actually to be true. And that is a function. Let's see. And really all we're hoping for is for this to be green. And it is. And we actually did it all. Historically, what I would do is I would actually get it to be green, and then I'd write the test. And so basically, since this is very, very testy, we can, I guess we get rid of this and then just call this 0. I mean, very temporary. Because we are going to just sort of as a side effect test this other thing, this animate mesh, but animate mesh is going to change a lot. So I guess temporary might be not quite the right word. It's more like very, very, very incomplete. So I believe I do 0, 1, 2, and 3, and that will cover all the and I think this will take care of all these different cases. That we went all green now, so that's good, which is, oh, I didn't F it. I didn't F it, guys. Let's F it real quick since we're here. And let's just make sure we still have 100 here. Oh, we're missing a function apparently. So animate visualizations ended up getting called by some other thing, so we don't have that. And I think all I have to do is call it. And I could just, I guess. See, this doesn't return anything. Dot animate. I mean, literally all this has to do is, yeah, go, like, it doesn't really do anything. All it does is pass on things. So I don't really feel like that needs to be unit tested, that it passes things on. All right, so the F, so we did that. I wonder, can you get straight to that? Yeah. Let's see where we are. It's weird. I thought we had, yeah, we had 70. All right, so everything's good except for down here, it looks like. We're not at 100% down there. So that'll be tomorrow because it is 8:56. So it gets to go. Happy coding, everybody. Bye.